Here's what's coming up tonight on News Center Now. Let us eat lettuce.
I'm hoping that no one gets sick. We do what we can.
With an E. coli outbreak plaguing the leafy greens, how are Maine farmers staying immune?
And campaign ads under attack. What you need to know about Lucas St. Clair, corporate nonprofits, and campaign finance laws.
And experts say you can't even trust caller ID anymore. How scammers are using your number to scam other people and what you can do to protect yourself.
This is News Center Now. Caller ID may not protect you like you think it does. Hello, everyone. I'm Lindsay Mills.
And I'm Chris Costa in for Lee Goldberg. The days of 1-800 numbers are long gone, and scammers are smarter than ever, now using your phone number to scam others. Some of you know exactly what we're talking about and reached out to us on Facebook. Now, Maine's complaint examiner is traveling around the state to warn people. And Christina Rex, anybody can fall prey to this one.
Yeah, guys, so this isn't a grandma scam. This isn't a Nigerian prince asking you to wire him money. Sometimes it's not even an automated voice. This is a scam that can dupe anybody. People call you from a number very, very close to your own number, so you answer not knowing who or what is on the other line.
With regards to this fabulous promotion that we are doing.
It's not your friend or your family or your kid's school. It's a scammer calling from a 207 number.
We answer them just because we think it's somebody that we know.
There are two similar scams. Spoofing, when someone imitates an existing phone number like your local hospital, police station, or even your mom. Then there's neighboring, when a scammer calls you from a number just a few digits off from yours, so you answer.
Who's fallen for a scam?
Maine's complaint examiner is warning locals about these robocalls, those she says you can't avoid.
And there is nothing you can do to stop that. Absolutely nothing you can do to stop someone else from spoofing your number on caller ID.
Caller ID was invented to protect us, but Courier says nowadays you can't trust it. If you don't know the number, she says send them to voicemail and call them back later if it's someone you know. Courier says she gets about 12,000 complaints each year.
The number one being scams.
These spoofing and neighboring scam calls can be about anything. Listen to this one sent to a local police officer.
As there are 4 serious allegations pressed on your name at this moment.
So how can you stop this from happening? Unfortunately, there's no easy answer.
A lot of people say, well, I'm on the do not call list. Shouldn't that help? The do not call list is great for legitimate businesses, but scammers are not legitimate businesses.
Courier recommends downloading free call blocking apps to report scam callers. And if someone spoofs your number and you start getting calls back from people you never even called, she says your best bet is to ignore them.
It's not going to do you any good to get into a shouting match with a complete stranger over something you can't control.
So we asked you for some of your scam stories, and here's what you sent us. Jeffrey says he started answering the phone in multiple different languages just for fun, and that he loved every minute of wasting the scammer's time. Randy says if he doesn't know the number, he doesn't answer, which experts say is the right move, so good call, Randy. Fred says his favorite scam is the one where they call him about his car, except that he doesn't have a car, so he says he reports the number immediately. Dennis says he thinks this should be illegal. Well, Dennis, it actually is, and what I want to explain to you guys is, this is illegal, but the problem is oftentimes these are callers overseas, and the number, she said, pings so many different places that it's pretty much impossible for law enforcement to track. So don't answer.
It happened to be on my own desk work phone.
I know, I remember that. It happened for weeks.
It did. Christina, thank you so much.
All right, we've enjoyed a stretch of dry weather, but it sounds like that is about to change.
And we might need the umbrellas tonight. Is that right, Keith?
Yeah, this front isn't all that strong, but it does have some showers with it. And you can see where we saw the most sunshine today and away from the sea breeze. 71 in Fryeburg, but look at the coastline again in the 40s and 50s. So it's been a week for the coast. It's been just so much colder than inland locations. That will change tomorrow. Here comes our front. So it's driving some showers now into parts of the mid-coast, really sprinkles more than anything. All of this moving eastward. And if you look at this front as a whole, it doesn't have very much moisture. In fact, the only feisty part of this is across central parts of New York State, moving into western Massachusetts. That's some severe weather. We won't deal with any of that, just a few showers and sprinkles overnight tonight. It is worth mentioning that despite the showers on the way, we do have a fire weather watch that's in effect until tomorrow night. The reason for that is once this front goes through, the air will be extremely dry and it will be windy. All right, we'll talk about the weekend coming up in just a few minutes.
But then Lucas St. Clair actually listened. He did an excellent job of explaining.
A string of ads praising Maine congressional candidate Lucas St. Clair have a close connection to the man known for establishing the Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument.
The Maine Outdoor Alliance paid for these ads, like these 3 of them, and now there's criticism aimed at St. Clair's campaign, saying the group may have violated clean election laws.
We set out to verify if in fact that's true.
Lucas St. Clair was able to create a plan that worked for everybody.
These ads applaud Lucas St. Clair for his work on the Katahdin Woods and Waters National Monument.
But then Lucas St. Clair actually listened.
They're airing just weeks before the Democratic primary election for Maine's 2nd District.
New jobs, investment, and
the messages urge people to call the President Trump administration.
Tell them to leave
The Maine Outdoor Alliance, the nonprofit that paid for the ads, is incorporated by Nathan DeEsso. St. Clair's campaign manager says DeEsso was the best man at St. Clair's wedding. The Federal Election Commission says any coordination or cooperation between the candidate and the nonprofit to create ads violates campaign finance laws. We spoke to St. Clair's campaign manager David Farmer, who says St. Clair and DeEsso never spoke about this.
They had not had any contact about this organization or about its efforts. And they won't.
It's changing everything.
St. Clair said publicly he wanted the ads taken down and disclose the funders. It's the only way he can ask for that. Any contact with the organization directly is illegal. Based on the campaign statement, no, they did not violate clean elections laws. But Farmer says outside spending happens in every major campaign.
You can't control it, whether it's someone trying to be helpful or someone trying to be hurtful. You know, the campaign finance system is broken. I don't think there's any question about that. And that's true no matter who's doing the spending or what campaigns are supposed to benefit. And we have to fix it.
And as we get closer to the midterm elections, more and more political ads will show up in your TV. This week, Governor LePage used his weekly radio address to criticize a gubernatorial candidate's campaign.
You would think the state's highest-ranking law enforcement official would be committed to truth and honesty. In Janet Mills's case, you would be wrong.
When Governor LePage tried to rip health care away from thousands of kids, Janet Mills stopped him.
This is the ad Governor LePage is talking about. He says the ad is lying about Janet Mills' involvement in a DHHS lawsuit against the federal government. First, Governor LePage claims the lawsuit had nothing to do with children. It was about able-bodied 19 and 20-year-olds and the Maine care system. He says it's just another example of nanny state laws.
But today, the Mills campaign is standing by its ad saying it's the truth. And the bottom line is that under Governor LePage, Maine children are more likely to be hungry, living in poverty, and if he had his way, without health care. A spokesperson adds that people should ask what resources Governor LePage is using to target Janet Mills and help out Republican candidate Sean Moody.
All right, if you're trying to be healthy for summer, an E. coli outbreak may be ruining your salad plans.
It really makes me sad because we want the food industry to be safe.
Where you can safely get romaine lettuce here in Maine coming up.
And cans collected to find a cure for cancer stolen. But now police think they have the culprits.
Awesome.
Justice for 2 boys collecting cans for charity. Riley and Bryce collected recyclables for weeks, planning to donate the proceeds to Cans for a Cure. But their trailer full of cans and bottles was stolen in April. Today, the Cumberland County Sheriff's Office says 2 people are in custody for the theft, but deputies believe others could be involved in this case.
Another win for Maine law enforcement. The Foxborough police chief says that a man who broke into Patriots tight end Rob Gronkowski's house was arrested in Franklin County, Maine. Gronk was robbed while he was in Minneapolis for Super Bowl 52. When he came home, he was missing cash and guns. 2 others were arrested for the same crime.
In the very early hours of the morning, President Trump and First Lady Melania welcomed home 3 Americans who were recently released from North Korea prison camps. It's believed their release is a gesture of good faith ahead of President Trump's meeting with Supreme Leader Kim Jong-un. A meeting that is now confirmed for June 12th in Singapore. President Trump tweeted that both leaders are committed to a very special moment for world peace.
All right, some showers are starting to move in tonight.
How long will that rain stick around? Some people say it's good for the tulips. Keith Carson's full forecast is coming up next.
And a tale of two streaming services. One is in hot water. The other is taking a stand against an artist who's in hot water. Social Stop is next.
A food poisoning outbreak linked to romaine lettuce is being blamed for nearly 150 illnesses across the country and one death in California. The bacteria is linked to romaine grown in Yuma, Arizona.
So far, there aren't any confirmed cases in Maine. Agriculture experts say that's because many of our restaurants and stores use local produce. But if you're now considering growing your own lettuce, the experts have some important advice for you.
The youngest of my brothers, and I was always afraid they wanted to take over the farm, and I always wanted to. I always knew I wanted to take over this farm.
David Tuttle owns Riverside Farm in North Berwick, a farm that's been in the family since the 1700s.
We do very little wholesale. We are almost 100% retail.
He grows different types of lettuce, including romaine, the kind that's been at the center of a nationwide E. coli outbreak.
I've got 5 grandchildren living a quarter of a mile down the road here. I don't want them to get sick on my produce. I don't want my customers to get sick.
The lettuce that's been linked to one death and more than 100 illnesses was grown in Arizona.
I can't stand here and tell you that my lettuce is 100% safer than the lettuce coming in from Arizona. All I know is that I do the best I can to raise safe produce.
Tuttle says whether you own a farm or have a backyard garden, everyone must do their part to keep safe from E. coli and Listeria infections by washing produce before it's consumed. Also, growing lettuce in a greenhouse can eliminate risk for contamination.
You don't have any animals in there. That's where a lot of the E. coli and a lot of the bad bacteria comes from different animals.
According to the CDC, 1 in 6 people in the U.S. get sick and 3,000 die each year from foodborne diseases. The Food Safety Modernization Act, or FSMA, was created to combat that statistic.
We're going to have our water tested all the time to be sure there's no E. coli or bad bacteria in it.
He says these government programs are necessary to help ensure his farm is around for future generations.
I'm very blessed to have a son that wants to take over the farm.
And Tuttle started running that family farm when he was only 19 years old. He supplies lettuce to restaurants in South Berwick, Kittery, and Portsmouth, New Hampshire.
Spotify announced today a new policy surrounding hate content and hateful conduct. Now, they're partnering with rights advocacy groups to help identify music that expressly promotes violence against a person or a group based on demographics, such as race and religion. But Spotify also announced how they're handling artists who may have demonstrated hateful conduct. Enter R&B singer R. Kelly, who has been accused of sexual violence over the years by multiple women, allegations he denies. Billboard reports Spotify is removing his music from curated playlists. His catalog will remain intact, but Spotify, quote, will not actively promote it. The company told the magazine, "We don't censor content because of an artist's or creator's behavior, but we want our editorial decisions to reflect our values." No comment yet from R. Kelly, but another streaming service is under intense scrutiny after a bombshell report from a Norwegian newspaper. Jay-Z's Tidal is accused of manipulating streaming data, resulting in millions of false plays for his wife Beyonce and frenemy Kanye West. The newspaper said it investigated Tidal's internal data from a hard drive they obtained. Now, they started their investigation 2 years ago when Tidal claimed Kanye's The Life of Pablo was streamed 250 million times in the first 10 days, and Beyonce's Lemonade was streamed more than 300 million times in the first 15 days. Now, at that time, Tidal reported 3 million subscribers. Now, the Norwegian newspaper says the alleged practice resulted in massive royalty payouts at the expense of other artists. Now, Tidal denies the report, told Rolling Stone it was a smear campaign. They accuse the paper of stealing and manipulating their information, and they plan to fight the claims. Chris and Linz.
Wow.
Wow, that's a lot of, it's a lot of
say.
information. But one
Yeah.
question,
Yeah.
who actually do we know uses Tidal? Right?
Right, good question.
Keep the hands down for that one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So it's
Katie,
weird.
I don't know where I'd be without you because you keep me ahead of the curve with everything that's pop
what I'm here
culture.
for, Boo. I got you.
Really, seriously. All right, you know who keeps us ahead when it's, you know, weather related?
I'm hip
This
too.
I'm just hoping you're not going to over-exaggerate the numbers for the weekend.
Nobody streamed The Life of Pablo is the most important part of all that. That album is terrible. It's so bad.
You
and I love
you're
Kanye.
already like having your input about R. Kelly.
Yeah.
and
I
miss the old
Well,
Kanye.
That's for
We don't have time for that on television.
Right.
But let's start. Yeah, the old Kanye was good. The old, College Dropout pop-out was amazing. Oh, look at that. Wait, this is the wrong computer here, guys, I think. Let's go over to the other one. You're giving away the forecast. Let's go to Max 1. I think this is Max 2. There we go. All right. We'll start with high temperatures today. Look along the coastline versus inland. Another day where it was a huge difference, and that's still going on. Biddeford's sitting at 49 in Cape Elizabeth as well, 50 in Portland. You look inland, though. Look at Frenchville and Presque Isle. They've been one of the warmest spots in the state the past 3 days, which does not happen very often for them. Obviously, the coastal influence is huge. Here comes our front. Still nice over the eastern third, if you will, of the state, but a couple of showers starting to roll in. If you look at how they're kind of spread out, they're very light in nature, and that's how the front will be tonight. A scattered shower, more like a sprinkle. The nastier weather is down here towards Albany. Those are severe storms. We don't have the juice for that here in Maine, so just a couple of sprinkles overnight tonight will do it, and the front will be out of here in time for tomorrow. Take a look at the timing, 11 o'clock, mountain showers. After that, by tomorrow morning, we're mostly sunny, and we stay that way through the whole day. And Friday's the only day this week in which being along the coastline doesn't mean you'll be about 15 or 20 degrees cooler than surrounding areas. It should be pretty uniform, right around 60 degrees by tomorrow afternoon from the coast to inland locations. And then we cloud up a bit late Friday night with a couple of showers moving in Saturday. It's not looking bad, though. It's really only the southern third of the state that even sees a shower. North of that, probably dry through the day on Saturday, so a split state forecast in there. As I mentioned, we do have fire danger through tomorrow because of the dry conditions and some gusty winds. Guys, as we head into next week, high stakes forecast on Wednesday and Thursday. The Euro is in the 50s with rain. The GFS is in the 80s with sun. So we know the Euro usually wins. Maybe just this one time the GFS will pull through. So for now, we've got showers in the forecast on Wednesday, Thursday, but that could change. Could be warmer and nicer than it appears if the American model can pull one out this time.
No over-exaggeration from you.
No, I don't
keeping it real.
No, just one stream on that forecast.
Very good, very good.
Thanks, Keith. Hey, if you've ever had a migraine, you know how debilitating it can be.
And if you get migraines all the time, you may be desperate for a cure or some sort of remedy. Well, it could be as simple as some new jewelry.
Allie Weatherton reports from Virginia.
It's a place people come to share their migraine stories.
I just remember waking up on a helicopter ride.
Stories.
All of a sudden I got rear-ended by a 13-year-old who was driving his dad's F-350.
That brought them all here.
Howdy, how you guys doing?
To Finders Keepers.
And it was just like my head was going to explode. It was just like crazy pressure, I don't know, one side of my head.
While their stories are different, their struggles are similar.
I get migraines all the time. I mean, when it rains, I have the migraines. When there's low pressure, I have the migraines.
There was a time when Sonia Gorley and Benjamin Callis say the pain was so unbearable they would have to call off work and sit in a dark room for hours on end.
I mean, it was like I wasn't even taking anything. It really made no difference. Imitrex wouldn't stop them. Topamax wouldn't prevent them.
Both say that all changed after hearing other people dealing with migraines got relief with a simple ear piercing known as a Daith.
I would say it's probably one of the most popular piercings next to the nose that we do.
Finders Keeper owner Kimberly Rowan says the piercing goes through the innermost cartilage of the ear. Many of her customers get both sides pierced in hopes their headaches vanish. That's why Gorley is back at the shop.
It did seem to help for a while, and so I really did want to get, the second piercing.
But while this technique works for some, it's important to note that it does not provide relief from migraines for everyone.
Now, there are some people that will tell me, no, it didn't work for me. It wasn't what I thought it was going to do, but hey, I like it. It's cute jewelry.
EVMS Dr. John Snelling says the research isn't there to support this technique as a relief for migraines, but the piercing may be worth a try.
There are no clinical trials that I'm aware of that have shown that these earrings are effective in terms of treating migraines. Now, there are clinical trials, and a few of them that have shown that acupuncture, and more specifically ear acupuncture, is effective in treating and preventing migraines. So maybe there'll eventually be a connection between those two, but at this time we just don't have that.
Snelling says he strongly believes it works for some people because of the placebo effect.
The risk of infection, and when you're sort of getting the earring at the point of you're getting it, there's not much risk to having it. But I would also ask them to come back in and talk with their primary care physician or even a neurologist if it gets severe enough to try some more evidence-based treatments long term.
Real relief or imagined, Callis says he's thankful he took the chance. Since he got the Daith piercing on both sides in 2016, he's had only 2 migraines.
They weren't even as bad as my ones used to be. Like, they were bearable. I could get up out of bed. I could somewhat function inside the house.
And Gorley hopes this second piercing does the same for her, so she can enjoy her life with her children.
I'm hoping that at the very least that it will reduce, you know, the amount of the migraines that I have per month.
That was Ellie Weatherton reporting. Cindy Williams joins us now with a look at what's coming up in the next half hour.
I do indeed. 32 years without an answer. His daughter disappeared 3 decades ago, and he is still searching for justice. With 2 cold cases solved last year, though, his hope is renewed. We'll have that story. Ever wanted to be your own boss, run your own restaurant? Well, now is your chance. There is some fine print, though. We'll tell you what the catch is.
Can't wait to find out about that, Cindy. Thanks so much. Stay with us. Brain Drops when we come back.
I was just like, Lindsay, she's so small. But, all right. I want to talk about how volcanoes can cause acid rain. That's a problem in Hawaii right now. So basically, when ash aerosol is ejected into the atmosphere, you have a couple different compounds that come together here. Obviously, you recognize some, like water, but you also have hydrochloric acid and hydrogen sulfide. All this comes together into sulfuric acid here. And then basically, once it's in the cloud, it attaches itself to normal supercooled droplets. Once it gets heavy enough, as is the typical process, it comes down as acid rain. And then on the other side, the actual particulate can fall down. That's actually more damaging than the acid rain. Let's take a look at the scale, because people ask, like, can you stand an acid rain? The answer is yes. Okay. It's not that acidic, so take a look where it is on the pH scale. It's 4.3, so it's right about here. And clean rain is 5.6, so it's not a huge delta here. And for comparison, soda is much more acidic. So you can stand in soda, right? So it's really just for lakes. Yeah, you'll be all right. It's for lakes and streams that it's a big problem, and the fish that live in them. Right. Also, volcanoes, very small portion of acid rain. Most of it surprise us when we burn fossil fuels and they go into the environment and then back down that way.
All right, just like the mercury lesson. Keith, thanks so much. News Center Maine at 5:30 starts right now.